What's up guys, Max here, back from San Diego Comic-Con, and easily one of the best ones I've been to, because probably one of the best announcements happened that I was looking forward to, and Ken was of course announced for Street Fighter V, as you saw per my reaction video. Along with this, he was playable on the show floor, and they were holding tournaments at the Capcom booth, so this gave me an excellent opportunity to jump on some of the stations where the winner stays on, and try to focus and use the little bit of talent slash fighting game skill I have to try to learn the character as fast as possible, and I got a lot of stuff and information for you guys, so let's just quickly talk about it. I first want to talk about the similarities to Street Fighter IV. So, Ken still mostly retains a lot of his moves and attributes from the Third Strike version of Ken, which is also the Street Fighter IV version of Ken. Some moves like the step kick, the fake forward roundhouse, the complete forward roundhouse if you let it go, that stuff is actually still there. He still has his old school Third Strike target combo, which was also in Street Fighter IV, but in Street Fighter V, it's actually back medium punch into heavy punch, so there's a little bit of a different execution there. This game does not have close range normal differences. That means that if your normal attack is executed from any distance anywhere on the screen, no matter how close you are to your opponent, it's going to be the same thing through and through. Ken also does have another target combo which resembles the quote-unquote crazy kicks that he's had from previous games, such as Super Turbo and specifically the Capcom vs. SNK series. And these are really fun moves. They were also in Omega mode, but he does not have crazy kicks. He has a medium kick, which is very similar to something like Street Fighter Alpha 2 and CVS 2, where it's this hooking medium kick, which you also might remember in Third Strike, but it was not in Street Fighter 4. He does have that. It's kind of a decent anti-air as well, but it's not a crazy kick. You can do a target combo from medium kick into heavy kick, and that's a two-hit target combo which leaves your opponent spinning and juggling, and that does very much look like Ken's classic crazy kicks, but it's not. It's a target combo that's used for some specific juggle situations, which I haven't found too much of a use for, and the more I stopped using it, the more I started doing better. So right now they're probably going to be retooling that one a little bit, because I do like the way it looks. The big ones is that his target combo is very good. It leaves you at a pretty good distance. And his hurricane kicks have somewhat been retooled. His light hurricane kick resembles more usual the medium hurricane kick. His medium hurricane kick is kind of like his classic heavy hurricane kick, and the heavy hurricane kick is this jump arc thing that hits you multiple times and launches you into the sky. I was calling it the Street Fighter EX hurricane kicks, the, I don't know if you guys played Street Fighter EX, but it's very similar to that, except you don't have to repeat the motion. The EX versions are where Ken really starts to shine, because all of his EX moves get crazy. EX version of Shoryuken is this giant Shoryu Reppa, which he doesn't have in his regular super. The EX version of his hurricane kicks launches them in the air and returns him back to the ground to continue pressure a little bit more. And his EX Fireball, I did not use very much. The biggest thing that kind of threw me off guard was that the guys at Capcom were describing Ken as being a completely different kind of character. They did not show a fireball in his trailer when we initially reacted, so I immediately retweeted that it seems like they're saying Ken is not a Shoto. But then you get on the stage floor or the show floor and you're like, oh wow, Ken totally is a Shoto. He has a uppercut, a Tatsu, and a fireball. So he absolutely still is a Shotokan style character, but what they did was the most important thing, was to change the way he looks. So I'll keep talking about the gameplay a little bit more. A lot of the really fun stuff is hit confirming with Ken. His standing jab is amazing. His crouching short combos a couple of times, you can do a standing jab and an uppercut. His uppercut is very slow. The heavy version comes out slower than almost any other heavy uppercut I've seen with Ken, and it acts a lot like the heavy uppercut you would see from a game like Super Turbo. Maybe the first hit will land, but the other two consecutive hits might not, and it's only really good for situations where you know you're going to actually land the combo. Medium uppercuts are the way to go in Street Fighter V right now, the same between Ryu and Ken. They have the most invincibility, and they come out fairly fast. The light one is the fastest, of course, but I don't think has any invincibility at all. Quickly, let's talk about the most interesting part, which is his V-Skill and V-Trigger. Ken's V-Skill resembles very much that of N-Groove and K-Groove style stuff from Capcom vs. SNK 2, where he can actually run forward. And I'll tell you right now, if you press the medium punch and medium kick buttons, Ken lunges forward, but he kind of lunges forward at like a set distance. And you can kind of cancel it with certain normal moves, which is very fun right now. You can actually do some very cool run canceling stuff, but you do have to go a minimum distance. It's not that long, and it, but you can catch your opponent off guard, and one of the most fun aspects of it is that the majority of all his normal attacks on the ground can be run canceled. You can hit the button, hit a regular button, then do the V skill, and he'll run right after it. He doesn't run immediately after. There is a bit of recovery because Ken can essentially be jabbed or crouching short anytime he's running forward. There is gaps everywhere in this thing, but the mind game is what happens. You don't know if you're going to do a low forward run forward and go for a grab, or are you going to go low forward fireball this time. There's an inherent little mix-up right now with Ken's pressure, which is actually very fun, and we just need to do more testing to see how safe it is, and it's probably going to change a bit upon launch, but right now it's actually a freaking blast. It's easily one of the most offensive versions of Ken I've ever seen, and probably has the quickest dash of a Ken in any Street Fighter game, mostly compared to, like, Capcom vs. SNK 2 and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, where Ken has a very fast dash in Third Strike. I'd say this one is comparable. It's not as fast, but it is extremely quick, and once you throw this run thing in, it's pretty lethal, man. He is a very offensive-focused character. A lot of his combos do get damage scaled quite a bit, unlike Ryu, where Ryu just gets a lot of really big raw power and damage. Ken doesn't do quite as much, but when you combine this run canceling stuff in, he's just an absolute offensive blast, and in my opinion might be one of my second favorite versions of Ken. I think Third Strike Ken is a lot of fun. I like him a lot, but at the same time, I think the Third Strike system, if you didn't have that, you kind of get a Ken that's in Street Fighter 4, and I really don't like that version of Ken. I love Alpha 2 and CVS 2 version of Ken, where he has a roll, he has stuff that he can maneuver around. Those are a lot of fun with the crazy kicks. I love those. Street Fighter 5 Ken might actually be my second favorite version of Ken at the moment, because he just feels different. He feels like a completely different character right now, because he's kind of more short-ranged. A lot of his normals don't reach the distance that you would expect from previous Shoto Capcom fighters. They're much shorter, and you have to get close to your opponent to do really good damage. Now, the big one is his V-trigger, where Ken essentially gets something comparable to a focus attack dash cancel, but it's uncontrollable. I'll try to describe what I mean. At any point, if you press Ken's V-trigger, which actually takes 3 stocks to get, you're going to lose about 60 to 70% of your health before you get V-trigger with Ken. This move automatically makes Ken go into a spin, but the screen is like frozen, and then he runs forward. You cannot cancel this run forward in any way at all, meaning that if you kind of just throw it out from full screen, you're going to get hit. It's not like Ryu's where he activates and he goes into a mode and he's totally fine. You have to make this thing safe. You have to throw out a fireball. Hopefully they don't jump over the fireball, they block it, and then you can throw it out and you can activate, because when you do activate, all of his Shoryukens become faster and do more damage. His Hurricane Kick Tatsus add fire, and I think the hitboxes get much bigger because you can cross up Tatsu like crazy all of a sudden. And that's essentially the biggest buffs he gets as a result of it. All of his normals become very fast, and I'd say right now that his light Shoryuken becomes very similar to Super Turbo Ken's light Shoryuken, where it's hard to punish this thing. I was not getting really punished for doing light DP on block because it recovers so damn fast. And what's great is that the light DP, if it hits, you can go to another DP or like the EX Shoryuken and get a lot of damage. I had an example combo that I put up a bit earlier of this. That's the biggest challenge of Ken, is that you have to hit confirm into this thing to use it. You can do an uppercut. For example, you can uppercut and then off the first hit while he's still on the ground, go to V-trigger cancel and he dashes forward. Well, since you're not doing the input for the dash and it's kind of locked to place, guess what happens? You're completely punishable. There's not enough blocks on uppercut to do this, so you cannot use it like Street Fighter 4 tactics, where I'm going to make my uppercut safe, and even if it didn't hit, they're going to go in and get damage. It doesn't work that way at all. You actually need to use the V-trigger offensively, and only if you land a combo. You need to use it if you land something, and over the span of the days, we were trying to figure out what's the best way to use this thing, because we were having a tough time. Essentially, what it comes down to is anything off of a fireball on hit is one of the best ways to use this V-trigger to just extend your damage, and then you knock them down after that hit, you get your combo, and you have a lot more, much better crafted offense because the V-trigger is active. The best example I can give you is a low forward to fireball V-trigger cancel will absolutely work. You'll dash in, do target combo, uppercut, EX uppercut, fantastic damage. Same thing off of his target combo, end it with a fireball, run in, do stuff. That's probably one of the best uses for his V-trigger right now, or off of a hit-confirmed uppercut. But it leaves him in a very big, vulnerable state at the moment. So it's you got to use it cautiously, and at the same time, it's very expensive. You almost kind of want to use some of your bar for alpha counters because you will get pressured quite a bit. And that might be everything I could say about Ken's gameplay right now. I have a much different opinion on his design because I feel Ken's animations, the way he moves, his normals, everything like that is so amazingly awesome looking. Like, they did such a good job with how Ken looks in that department, except everything above his neck. I don't mind Ken's hairstyle at all. I think his hairstyle is actually kind of cool, but the way his hair looks is really rough right now. It looks like a bunch of bananas on top of his head, and his face, for some reason, looks like Fei Long from Street Fighter 4. And I have no idea how they actually made Ken uglier than this super weird-looking He-Man Ken from Street Fighter 4. It seems like there's never been a really good 3D modeled Ken before, but you got other characters in the game. Ryu looks pretty dang cool. Charlie or Nash looks freaking awesome. He looks super slick. So there is other characters that can look good, and I'm not too sure what happened to Ken. His character art looks fantastic, but for some reason in-game he looks a little gnarly from certain angles. A lot of people have been saying this. I'm sure we'll talk about it in future discussions, but who knows, we might see a change to Cammy's face, Ken's face. I would really hope so. And at the same time, I hope his gameplay does stay intact because this character is a ton of freaking fun. I'm having an absolute blast, and I was very worried about Chun-Li and Ryu early in Street Fighter V, how they just didn't feel very fun to me, and the way the game has kind of evolved with characters between Birdie and Nash and Bison and now Ken, they're kind of drastically changing things. Like, Ryu and Chun-Li are the base of characters of, like, just kind of like neutral, and then they go nuts with certain other characters, and I'm having a lot of fun with these other characters. Nash and Ken are definitely speaking to me, and just in terms of their gameplay, and I don't even like Nash that much as a character, but playing as him is actually very fun, and I have some footage of a tournament, my first Street Fighter V tournament I attended at Comic-Con, with a lot of other FGC guys, and dudes that were pretty dang good at the game, as we were all going at it and trying to win that PlayStation 4 and its faceplate. I have footage of that. It'll be up tomorrow. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you had a chance to play Ken at Comic-Con, let me know what you think, and hopefully I was able to demonstrate some of the crazy stuff Ken can do within these matches. Like I said, guys, I had a lot of fun playing this character, and I feel like I'm revitalized. I got my dude back. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.